Northampton, a town known for its shoe industry, lift tower, and of course, its rugby. With 20 clubs in and around the county, it is definitely a rugby town. But is the sport really as inclusive as it seems? World Rugby say that everyone should have the opportunity to play, regardless of their nationality, race, or ethnicity. We follow the Outlaws, the East Midlands' first gay and all-inclusive club, to find out if rugby is truly a diverse sport. The Outlaws play and train here every Tuesday and Saturday at Old Scouts Rugby Club, the home of England greats Ben Cohen and Courtney Laws.
My name's Dan, I'm 31 years old and I am tight head prop. I did grow up with a lot of bullying, if I go into that. And that was in the sport environment when I was at school, naturally being a bigger kid when I was younger. And it was rugby as well. What was crazy was that it was rugby where I used to get bullied by the other kids at school. Like, it was awful. It was always the day I'd try and skive off school. Oh, I forgot my kit, so I don't have to get changed around people, or just trying to hide in school toilets and things like that, just so I didn't have to be in that environment. I go back and these guys have almost flipped that on its head, and it's almost like, look what I'm doing. I'm beating the haters because I found a place in a situation where I was initially rejected. These guys have not only accepted me, but welcomed me with loving arms. And I love it. I love it so much.
I've come here alone. My family's back home in Algeria. I have my partner, I have his family here. But I really didn't have the social life or that many friends that we just pick up the phone and say, oh, we're going out for a drink or going out for a meal, until I joined the Outlaws. That's where, even for my partner as well, weekend we like to spend each other together, but now it's filled. That there's every weekend there's something happening, either it's a game or there's an activity or a night out. So it just keeps us on our toes.
Would you say that rugby is an inclusive sport?
I didn't think it was until I joined the club, and then it opened my eyes to other clubs, other teams. I would say, from my experience anyway, it is inclusive. Everyone's welcome, doesn't matter your religion, sexuality, your race, no judgment. I was nervous of my first session, but everyone was so welcoming. Everyone was so understanding, jokes, training, showing you. You learn from the coaches, you learn from your teammates. So yeah, to me it's inclusive sports.
With their game against Birmingham cancelled this weekend, I caught up with club chair Simon Chapman and captain Ryan Armstrong to discuss what makes the Outlaws so special.
My name's Simon Chapman. I'm 42 now, and I'm the club chair at Northampton Outlaws RFC. Not quite since day one, but not far away. So when the club was first founded, they sort of came up with the idea in the April, and they had a little throw around with a couple of guys in the park. And then when they started their official sessions, sort of May, June time, and I joined in the August when we had the biggest chunk of recruitment in the initial batch. So pretty much since the start, but not quite the very first few sessions.
Was there any sort of backlash right at the beginning that was made?
I think it's interesting you say the word backlash, because that's kind of the reason they formed the club. So the two guys that originally, the original founders, as we describe them, the ones that came up with the idea and said we're going to do this, they went down to a training session on Tuesday night, and local rugby and a traditional rugby club, it's not built for people who don't know how to play and have no experience. And let's just say that they had probably one of the worst training sessions you could ever imagine. And they wouldn't say they were laughed out of the place, but they were effectively told not to come back. And they did not have a good time at all. They didn't feel welcome. They didn't feel supported. Nothing worked for the whole session. I wouldn't ever use the word backlash other than that was the reason it was set up, because it was clearly obvious that they couldn't play rugby elsewhere, and they figured if it was the same situation for them, then there's other people in that situation as well.
For the Outlaws, this is my second full season, so about a year and a half, just over. Had looked around and went to a few training sessions for other teams, but then finally kind of stumbled across The Outlaws came down to a session, absolutely loved it, and from that point onwards, I've been an Outlaw. It's a massive privilege. Firstly, to have been so I'm obviously having my first full season here last season. Wasn't captain last season. Was elected captain this season. So at the start, massively privileged and honoured that my fellow peers had kind of voted me in and showed that level of confidence in me. That's definitely raised my game to a new level. Fills me with pride, which is essentially what our club is all about, showing that pride, showing a sense of who you are.
The Outlaws play in 2 sets of leagues, the IGR Northern against other all-inclusive teams and the East Midlands. This week we're in the East Midlands for a local derby, with training seeming to have extra excitement about it, as this weekend's opponents are Northampton rivals, Heathens. The 2 teams are a part of a sibling club, meaning they both train and play at Old Scouts.
Heathens represent a pretty good challenge to us. They're physically tough. They've got a wealth of experience within both their forward and back lines. So it's tricky to kind of get on top of them. I think the key to trying to beat Heathens will be to essentially try and imprint what our game plan is on them, especially early doors. Make them think, make them make a couple of decisions, and grow into the game that way.
Match day has arrived. But first, let's look at the table. Heathens at the top of the pecking order with a sizable gap to second place Bugbrook, and Outlaws down towards the bottom and struggling.
Ready!
After a final warm-up, some questionable push-ups, and a last-minute strapping, and a team talk with the ref, the game gets underway. Heathens put on a dominant display in the opening 40 minutes, scoring 2 tries through Chris Meadows and Reece Headley, fly half Scott Mills with a 50% conversion rate, and after a poor first half from the Outlaws, Captain Ryan is understandably animated.
I need you to hit to get us ball momentum. So when you're running the ball in, hit with speed. If your mate's down there, and just run it in. Get the over him early. Don't wait around to be thanked. I want us to come off crawling off this pitch, knowing we've all done a very good job, and them knowing they've lost a very good game. Alright? Pick our heads up, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with that first half, but it is our half from here on out. Everything is Outlaws.
Ryan's half-time team talk proving no use as the second half is more one-way traffic. A commanding Heathens take the Outlaws by storm, adding another 3 tries and achieving a try bonus point. Scott Mills extending their lead with more conversions and comfortably winning Heathens the match. Another week and another cancelled match, this time in the IGR League, but it has gifted the Outlaws 5 automatic points, meaning they have won the league. They will take on Plymouth on finals day to hopefully become the champions of the UK.
It would be amazing. Historically, so we won the first 3 that we were in, but that's when the leagues were a lot smaller. And it was very different at that time. You know, we had a lot more experienced players. I think we're on a par, if not better than we were nowadays, I might say. But to have a new crop of players who 95% of them started from scratch entirely, and there's no experienced people in there among the mixed, for them to win, that's a whole different kettle of fish, you know, because it means a hell of a lot more to them, because they've had to work a lot harder than some of the rest of us had to work for ours. And the number of players that have contributed this year is just phenomenal.
Okay, so my name's...
Look at me, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. YouTuber, Twitch, ex-Twitch streamer.
No, you can't have a good project.